Well, we're back now for some analysis. Former Democratic Congresswoman Jane Harman is now with the Wilson Center here in Washington. Danielle Pletka is Vice President for Foreign and Defense Policy Studies at the American Enterprise Institute, also joined by Nia Malika Henderson of the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal Washington Bureau Chief Gerald Saib. Well, boy, I tell you, we're seeing this thing in real time. I mean, here I'm interviewing the Prime Minister of Israel. His alert goes off in Tel Aviv, and then the the Israeli ambassador to the United States comes in. His siren goes off on his phone. This technology is just amazing. There's a rocket being fired at the very village where his mother is. I mean, it's just this whole thing. Jane, what's going to happen here?
I don't know, Bob. I think it's a tragedy all around. And just imagine what would be happening to Israel right now if she didn't have the Iron Dome system. And pieces of that were cost-shared and actually financed and developed by U.S. technology and supported by Congress on a bipartisan basis when that happened. And so 95% of these rockets are ineffective against Israel. But I think the next steps, my sense of Bibi Netanyahu, whom you just interviewed, is he's being prudent. I think it's underestimated how prudent he's being. And they may have to go in with tanks. I guess they went in with one tank. As you said, Bob, underneath these homes are the rocket launchers. And we just heard that people are being asked by some of the Hamas leadership to stay in their homes so they become human shields. It's a catastrophe for the Gaza and Palestinian people, and also for the Israeli people.
What is Hamas trying to do, Danielle?
I think that we need to understand that Hamas, which is the government in Gaza, is really not interested in the well-being, as Jane said, of the Palestinian people. They're using their people as human shields. And I would say that they have a partly political agenda. They have been doing badly politically. They had to join a unity government with Fatah, with the PLO, and it's been very hard for them. They haven't delivered anything on the ground for the Palestinian people, whether it's basic standard of living, education, prosperity. They've delivered nothing. So what are they doing? They're basically using attacks on Israel to re-up their popularity in the region, to re-up their popularity with extremists. And I think this has not been talked about enough, they are doing the bidding of the country of Iran. Let's not forget that Hamas is underwritten, financed, armed, and supported in every way. Without Iran, Hamas would not be able to do any of this.
What is Prime Minister Netanyahu's strategy, as you understand it?
Well, I think one of the interesting things about this is that, you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu is actually being outflanked on the right by people in his own cabinet. He's actually under pressure to go further, farther, faster than he's doing right now, which is not the position Americans are accustomed to seeing Prime Minister Netanyahu in. So that's the first thing. I was struck really, Bob, by what he said his goal is here, which is sustainable quiet was the phrase that he used. Now, I understand that's the goal, but if you think about it, that's a remarkably modest goal here. Nobody's talking about peace. Nobody's talking about a solution. Sustainable quiet is the best the situation can offer right now. He said it, and his Ambassador Dermer used the same phrase. So I think you have to take him at his word. That's the best he can hope for right now.
And I mean, it's quite a departure from where we were many months ago when John Kerry talked about a path to peace, a months-long, you know, sort of negotiation around path to peace. And it looks like I think we have to figure out how Abbas comes out of all of this. He had been sort of the moderating voice in all of this. But as you said, it looks like he is being outflanked by Hamas. You have the president, obviously, President Obama calling for a ceasefire here, and Netanyahu essentially lowering the stakes here and saying the most we can hope for is quiet.
Well, does this have anything to do with the fact that the peace talks between the two sides broke down?
I don't think it does. I mean, I think that was happening anyway. I do think that's a problem, though, because one of the things that happens in this situation is there is no dialogue underway. There's no process. Even a faltering Palestinian-Israeli peace process at least allows you a channel for conversations, and that broke down several weeks ago. And so I think it takes away one of the shock absorbers that might be useful at a time like this. It's just not there. There's no conversation underway, and there's no place to have that conversation.
Is there anything the United States... Well, go ahead, Daniel.
No, I mean, I disagree with you, Jerry. I think that a big part of the problem here was that fake peace process. It was I hate to say it in such harsh terms, but the vanity of John Kerry in pushing forward a peace process without having done the spade work necessary. Because, okay, let's not even talk about the Israelis. It made Abbas look so bad. It undermined his credibility with the Palestinian people. It made him look weak and incompetent. He already looked weak and incompetent. But worse still for the United States, if you want the U.S. to come in and help broker a ceasefire between Hamas and the Israelis, guess what? We have much less leverage because we shot ourselves. We shot ourselves in the foot.
I couldn't disagree more there. Kerry had 30 years experience in the United States Senate, knew all the players, drank beer with Bibi Netanyahu in Cambridge 25 years ago, had credibility with the Palestinians, and bet the farm on a process that, yes, it was idealistic, but boy, did I think it was the right thing to do. And Abbas, among others, were at the UN General Assembly last September being very positive about it. So it's a tragedy that it collapsed. I don't think it was fake in any way. It was failed, but I think it was admirable.
And you thought the one-year time horizon that they laid out for peace, damn it, was a good idea?
Well, they didn't want it gamed against one side, gaming it against the other, and everybody knows how it comes out. They just don't know how to get there. And so I actually, I said once John Kerry should be nominated for sainthood, which is tricky since he's partly Jewish, and the answer was lots of our saints have been Jewish.
Well, I think John Kerry is the one who's mainly out for the sainthood for himself.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think this is the debate. I mean, there's a tragic sameness of the debate we've been having about this for many years. And I think for Obama, as he's going into the midterms, if you look at the way Americans sort of see his foreign policy, a very low mark, 60% disagree with the way he's approached foreign policy. So I think that's also, sort of in the background here as we discuss this.
If I could just add to that, we don't have a good narrative about what we're trying to achieve. The other side perceives it as don't do stupid stuff plus drones. And that's not persuading anybody. And that is urgent business. And I really think Obama has to address that.
You know, Jerry, I was struck by